All right, we're about halfway through the NFL season, maybe a little more so. Let's talk about who I think is going to make the playoffs, who won't. I'm going to go over the teams that I think have a chance to make the playoffs. So if I don't list a team in this video, then I don't think they have a good chance, or I don't think they're going to make it at all. So we'll start off with my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, they're sitting at 5-3 and first in the AFC North. And the Steelers are an interesting team to me because coming into the season, the defense was expected to be great and the offense was just supposed to not lose the games. But it's kind of been the opposite story for this team. And of course, they've had a lot of help with Lamar Jackson getting hurt, the Bengals defense being atrocious, and Cleveland being, Cleveland. But I think the Steelers do have a good chance of continuing what they've been doing, especially if they can continue to cause turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. Right now, they sit at the 4th seed in the AFC. I would expect the winner of this division to stay there, just given how the other teams ahead of them are doing and the schedules that those teams have. So, look, this division is going to come down to the 2 games that the Steelers have left between the Baltimore Ravens. And I could say the same thing about the Ravens. The Ravens have a very favorable schedule, but I think ultimately this division is going to come down to whichever team can get the better of the other in those 2 matchups that they have left. So, it depends on how you look at it. The Steelers have had Baltimore's number in the past, but the Ravens have been pretty good when it comes to, getting 11, 12-win seasons. Now, of course, they'd have to basically win out in order for that to happen. So, as a result, I'm going to say the Steelers end up winning this division at 11-5, 11-6 rather. I think that's somewhat reasonable to think, just given how the rest of their division looks right now. And I do think that they will split with the Ravens. And given the giant hole that the Ravens have put themselves in, I think the Steelers should win this division and take the 4th seed in the AFC. And of course, that means the Ravens, who I do have making the playoffs, I think can easily finish as the 6th seed. I don't think the 5th seed is really in play for them, just given how Buffalo looks and a couple of the other AFC West teams. But I do think that 6th seed or even the 4th seed, if they can win the division, is very plausible. Now, let's move on to the AFC South, where we have the Indianapolis Colts, who are currently sitting at 7-2 and are the number 1 seed in the AFC. For context, I'm recording this Thursday before the Broncos-Raiders game, so obviously if the Broncos win tonight, they will be in the 1 seed for the time being, but I'm recording this before. Right now, the Colts sit at the number 1 seed at a 7-2 record, and I really like their chances to keep up being the 1 seed. You have a game this week against the Atlanta Falcons, and then you have a bye week. However, the reason I like their chances is that they already have a tiebreaker over one of the other 3 big competitors in the AFC, and that would be the Denver Broncos, who they beat back in week 2 or 3 off of a walk-off field goal. So as a result of that, I do think that the Colts have a pretty good chance of maintaining the 1 seed, especially if they can stick to what they have been doing, and Jonathan Taylor, the ball, getting him going, and of course, making the trade for Sauce Gardner, who I think will help out that secondary. However, I do have them slipping to the number 2 seed in the AFC, just given the fact that we kind of maybe saw a glimpse of what Daniel Jones truly is when he's getting pressured. The Colts have been pretty good all season about not letting Daniel Jones get flustered. That offensive line has been really good, but on Sunday against the Steelers, Daniel Jones had 5 turnovers, and a big reason for that was pressure. So if you can find a way to get pressure on Daniel Jones, he'll get flustered pretty easily. And so, as a result, I do have the Colts slipping into the number 2 seed. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, currently sitting at 5-3. Unfortunately, I do have this team slipping out of the playoffs. They're sitting at the number 7 seed right now, but I have them slipping out of the playoffs for one reason and one reason alone. Their offense is too inconsistent for me. It is way too inconsistent. I like Liam Cohen as a coach, and I want to believe in Trevor Lawrence, but the offense is way too inconsistent for my liking, and of course you have injuries now to Brian Thomas Jr., who may or may not play on Sunday. Travis Hunter is on IR. And, I mean, yes, you just added Jacoby Myers. We'll see how he fits into this offense. But it's too inconsistent, and I like the defense, but I just don't know if the offense can keep pace. I mean, you let 30 points, you let nearly 30 points be scored on you. So, although I do like the defense, that definitely does have its flaws as well. And if they're not generating pressure like they should be, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, unfortunately, I do have the Jaguars slipping out of the playoffs. I don't think they're quite going to make the cut. And we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, I'm going to talk about the Houston Texans. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I do want to talk about the Houston Texans because their defense is so good, but their offense is so bad. You know, they're going to be in every single game, no matter what. And I guess the same thing could be said about the Bengals, but we've seen them get clobbered in a couple games. Granted, that was with Jake Browning at the helm, but I digress. The Texans, they're going to be in every single game, but I don't see them making the playoffs now with C.J. Stroud hurt. You know, right now it's not a good team. The offensive line is really poor, and even when C.J. Stroud was in, he was really struggling. So I don't think this team is going to make the playoffs. Let's move on to the AFC East, where you have two contenders here. You have the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. The New England Patriots, let's start with them. Right now they're sitting at 7-2. They're the number 2 seed in the AFC. And I do think that they are going to finish with the number 1 seed in the AFC as of right now. They have a very favorable schedule as well. They play the Jets twice. They play the Dolphins again. So right there, that should be 3 wins right there, getting them into double digits. And they already have a game on the Bills. So they already beat the Bills on the road, and that's really good for this Patriots team if you want to talk tiebreakers. So, yeah, I do think the Patriots have a very favorable schedule going forward, and on top of already having a tiebreaker over their biggest competitor in the division right now in the Buffalo Bills, I think this team has a really good chance. And especially since we saw last week that this team can win games even when Drake May isn't playing 100%. That's a scary thing for any team. And so, yeah, I mean, especially if they can get the running game going, I think this team has a really good chance of not only being the 1 seed in the AFC, but going really far in the playoffs as well. They just got to keep up what they've been doing. They're on a 6-game win streak right now, and we'll see. Now on to Buffalo. I do think this team should make the playoffs. I do. But as I said, if they're going to make the playoffs, they're probably going to be a wild card team, and they're probably going to be the number 5 seed. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the division. I wouldn't. I mean, the Patriots are a really young team. Buffalo has been there, done that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills, they are a very good team. We know that. However, this team does have flaws, especially when they choose to not let James Cook run the ball. We saw in their 2 losses that they went away from giving James Cook the ball, and they got beaten both times. They didn't give the ball to James Cook against the Patriots, and they didn't do it against the Falcons. They come back after the bye week, give James Cook the ball against the Panthers, and he runs all over them, and they win in a blowout. Very next week, they give James Cook the ball, they win the game, and they beat the Chiefs. And on top of that, this defense is very hot or cold. If we see the defense that we saw last week against Kansas City, yes, I think that this Bills team could go all the way. But if we see the Bills defense that we've seen before the bye week, for example, it's going to be hard. They're going to have question marks going into the postseason. So although I do see them making the playoffs, I have a hard time believing that, they can truly keep up with the Joneses. Moving on to the AFC West. Now, as I said before, I'm recording this before the Thursday night game happens, so we'll see how that turns out. But as of right now, the Broncos are sitting in the number 3 seed in the AFC at 7-2. I do think the Broncos should make the playoffs. I would honestly be surprised if they missed them at this point, even with their offensive inconsistencies. I think they should make the playoffs. Now, it should be noted that they do have a couple matches against Kansas City upcoming here soon, and they still have a matchup against the Chargers. Those 3 games are going to determine a lot on how Broncos end this season. And if their offense continues to be as inconsistent as it has been, I don't know if the Broncos can hold on to this very tight division lead. And as a result, I am going to have them slipping down in the wild card. I do think that they should make the playoffs, but I can't imagine that this team can find a way to stay in the hunt. I just don't see it personally. Oh, sorry. Not staying in the hunt. I think they will make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to keep the division lead. On to the LA Chargers. This team is very inconsistent. I mean, that's just the Chargers as a whole for you. And now their 2 starting tackles are hurt, in Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. That is a huge blow for not just any team, but this team in particular, because those are the 2 of the best tackles in the league. So that really sucks. On top of that, they still don't have a Marion Hampton. Najee has been hurt for a while. Their wide receivers are banged up. Their defense, it's doing okay. They've had their problems. And Justin Herbert right now is willing this team to victory, what feels like every week. With all that being said, I do unfortunately think the Chargers very well could slip out of the playoffs. And that's nothing against the Chargers. It's just that the AFC is very tight this year, and they play in the hardest division in the AFC. I mean, you got the Broncos, who are giving you a tough time, even though you did beat them. You did beat all 3 of your divisional opponents earlier this season, and that is a huge boost for this team. I mean, it can't be understated how big of a boost that is. But just given all their injuries and how inconsistent they've been all year, even before Joe Alt got hurt again, I have a hard time believing in this team. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But, I have a hard time seeing it. Last but not least, the last team I'm going to talk about in this video is the Kansas City Chiefs. Sitting at 5-4 right now, sitting outside of the playoffs. I think the Chiefs are going to sneak into the playoffs, man. For one, it's really hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I can't do it. And for 2, the Chargers are dealing with injuries, the Broncos have offensive inconsistencies, and you still play the Broncos twice this season. Yeah, I think the Chiefs do have a good chance of, bouncing back and maybe even winning this division. I have them winning this division as the 3rd seed. I think they're going to get the 3rd seed in the AFC right now. And that says a lot, considering where this team is right now, where they were at the start of the season. But with the Chiefs, you can't count them out. And maybe, maybe I'm going all in on the Chiefs, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I will absolutely admit that I'm wrong. But they're healthy right now, and that's a scary thing. We'll see. They're coming off the bye week, and they're gonna play the Broncos, so we will see how that game goes. But yeah, as of right now, that's how I have the AFC finishing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's just how I see things so far in this NFL season.